So today's topic is it's being your authentic self. And it is part of the program that Reverend Rebecca has been following all year, as it's given to her through Golden, Colorado, our international headquarters. And I thought, interesting topic. I'm not sure what I can do with it, but the more I got into it, the more I began to enjoy it. So hopefully you'll get something out of it today. The point of view from Science of the Mind about authenticity is this. The nature of truth, authenticity, is a force that will always rise to the top. The truth is exhibited in the natural and spiritual world. It becomes our task to strive to be this authentic truth within our human lives. So how do we know? What is our authentic truth? How do we find our authenticity? Well, for starters, and I'm 100% convinced of this, I know that each one of you is unique, different from anyone else on the planet. You are truly a gift from God, a gift from Spirit to your family, to your community, to this community, to the planet, to the cosmos. That's what Spirit sent you here for. Of all the billions of people on earth, no one is exactly like you. No one. Spirit sent you here as a unique personification for a purpose. That purpose is a unique gift to you and everyone else on the planet. You are unique. Do you want proof that you're unique? Go online and sign up for an Ancestry.com DNA kit. Take your DNA and send it in for analysis. What you'll find is that your DNA is similar to your family's, but different from anyone else's. There's small differences, even in identical twins. Did you know that? They come from the same egg. The egg splits on fertilization, and yet identical twins have different DNA. Very different, a little bit different. Do you know why that occurs? Scientists are studying DNA, obviously, trying to determine how it controls what in our bodies. Yet they're still mystified about what large percentages of our DNA actually does. Other scientists are studying twins to see how much of their behavior is driven by genetics and how much by environment. They found amazing similarities in behavior even among twins that were separated at birth. Yet they can't identify the reasons they're so similar, or more importantly, the differences in their genetics. It's pretty interesting stuff. I believe, and I'll suggest to you, that the reason everyone's genetics, including identical twins, differ is that they include a characteristic attributed solely to your karma. You have unique karma. Everyone comes from a different place. Your karma is different from anyone else's. So even identical twins have different DNA, a little bit different. You truly are unique. Are you starting to sense a theme here?
Mm-hmm. We're snowflakes.
Good. Now, just bear with me. Go follow along. Know and recognize that you are unique. But this lesson is about being authentic, not about being unique. But I wanted to take a few moments to suggest to you that if the entire universe aligned to make you unique right here, right now, then you should place a high value on being authentic to the unique being that you are. Right? Honor that gift. According to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, the definition of authentic: conforming to an original so as to reproduce essential features, made or done the same way as an original, not false or imitation, real, actual, true to one's own personality, spirit, or character, is sincere and authentic with no pretensions. So according to Merriam-Webster, if you're real, I believe you are, if you are actual, and I see you, you are authentic. You conform to the original. What's the original? Spirit, Creator. So if you accept the original Creator as being whole and perfect Spirit, what does that make you? You're the same as the original. You're authentic. You are whole and perfect Spirit, just as the original, the source, Spirit. Now this is the interactive part of the lesson. Let's do a short exercise. So if you would, bear with me. Close your eyes and imagine that you are on a platform surrounded by a vast bed of quicksand all around you. Now know and visualize that you are safe on this solid platform. This is your foundation, safe above the quicksand. Imagine that as you live your life of integrity, being authentic to who you are, what you are, you create an energetic, solid foundation supporting you, spreading out all around you. The more you live as your authentic self, the more solid, the deeper, the larger your energetic foundation goes. Your foundation goes deeper and larger all around you until there's no longer any appearance of quicksand. Okay, now come on back. If you were able to see this, if you were able to feel that, you could use that simple exercise during any time of stress. When you feel the quicksand pulling you down, pulling you away from your authenticity, know that you are authentic. Go to your energetic, safe platform, being authentic. In his book, The Hidden Power, Thomas Troward, who we studied recently, gave us this quote: "We have never been out of our right path, only we've been walking in it backwards instead of forwards. And now that we've begun to follow the path in the right direction, we find that it is none other than the way of peace, the path of joy, and the road to eternal life. These things we may attain by simply living naturally with ourselves. It's because we're trying to be or do something which is not natural to us that we experience weariness and labor, where we should find all our activities joyously concentrated by the force of the love that we have for them. But when we make the grand discovery of how to live naturally, we shall find it to be all, and more than all, a perpetual joy to ourselves, and we shall radiate light and life wherever we go." That gives me goosebumps. I mean, you know I love Troward because I was in that class. But it appears Judge Troward is telling us it's much easier to live life in our authenticity than to try and be something we are not, something we weren't intended to be. We can live naturally, easier, freer lives when we are our authentic selves. I'd like to share 3 points with you from one of Brene Brown's books. Is anyone familiar with Brene? Good. Up until until I saw this. I didn't know who she was, but I went online and looked at some of the TED Talks and the books, and I was impressed. So number one, tell the truth. Here's her quote. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. I think this is really on. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. To own our story is to tell the truth about who we are. I would add that spiritually, this means we are able to tell who we are in terms of our relative human nature, as well as grasp and revere our absolute divine nature. We are divine. The telling of our story is an ongoing one of reconciliation of the two parts. It's hard to practice compassion when you're struggling with your authenticity, or you're feeling unworthiness, you're feeling off balance. It's hard to be that. The author writes, you better be able to tell the truth about who you are, where you come from, and what you're up against, and like yourself in the process of telling that truth, because our sense of worthiness lives inside that story. So the challenge to live our truth is partially from the scripted fables that we've lived by, that we've been handed down from our parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. Do any of these scripts sound familiar? Good little boys and girls don't behave that way. Success equates to money, title, achievements. Well-behaved means to censor feelings. Really? Crisis of faith is unacceptable because one should have a constant knowing and a steady stream of manifestation. Illness is weakness. Bad. I trust none of you are allowing those scripts to dictate your life story, right? We know better. We're into science of mind. So this is just rhetorical. No need to answer this out loud. But what's the fable you were told? What's the fable that impacts your life right now? What does it feel like when your life doesn't match the story that you were told it should have been? Who are you afraid of disappointing? Who will hold you space for your full story? These are questions for introspection. So point number 2 from Brene Brown. It's about shame. Without an awareness of our inherent wholeness, and without the guidance and skill to see ourselves compassionately, we become mired in shame. Shame is the most powerful master emotion. It's the fear that we're not good enough. When you get to a place where you understand that love and belonging, your worthiness, your divine worthiness, I'm adding, is a birthright and not something you have to earn. Anything is possible. So the shame universal tapes are, you're never good enough. Who do you think you are? You can't do that. Ms. Brown states that for women, shame is a web of competing and conflicting expectations. Let me repeat that. For women, shame is a web of competing and conflicting expectations. I'm sure you could all come up with examples. Strength, maternal instinct, nurturing, discipline. I mean, it's tough. For men, shame is a box. Men don't want to be perceived as weak, but don't want to be criticized or ridiculed either. Men don't want to ask for directions. That's in mind.
Or read them.
Or what?
Or read them.
Or read them. Now we can ask for directions privately and quietly. So guilt and shame are different. Guilt is, I did something bad. shame is, I am bad. There's a difference. There's 3 universal truths about shame. We all have it. Let's admit that. We're all afraid to talk about it. And the less we talk about it, the more of it we have. So those are 3 simple little universal truths. Now, here's the third point from Brene Brown, and this is how it relates to this. Cultivating authenticity. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Now repeat. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. To me, that goes back to the boxes that she talked about for women, competing, Women are expected to be super women. Men less so, but we slide a little bit. But it's not that way for women. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm, even if it's your own children. So, without being willing to tell our own truth and own our shame, we operate just at the surface of life. To live at a proper depth requires you to choose authenticity as your core value. Some have wondered, and this really gets to the heart of it, does our teaching offer enough emphasis on calling out and forgiving our relative flawed nature, or do we construct a bypass by teaching and instructing to simply turn away from the condition? That's a valid question that each one of us has to answer. Perhaps confession is good for the soul. Consider the empowering transformation within the steps of conducting your own moral inventory and then making amends as you see fit. I'm sure each one of us could tell a story about when telling the truth really did set you free. My belief is that the value isn't just in confessing. The value is in looking inside, finding out your story, owning it, being aware of it. That's the benefit. You own it, you live it, you release it. Let go and let God. To me, that's the benefit. It's not the act of confessing, although for certain people that really is helpful. So let me begin to wrap this up for you. We've often heard Reverend Rebecca use the term right here, living in my integrity. That is being authentic, true to your divine nature. To own your story doesn't mean you're at the final chapter of the book of life. We're somewhere in the middle. The words, the chapters, the imagery, the direction can now take on a different trajectory. It's up to us. When we willingly recognize our truth, our authenticity, our divine nature, we're lifted out of the quicksand, or whatever box you've allowed yourself to be placed into. Our story elevates into a narrative of alignment, authenticity, love, belonging, the truth of who you are. So here's a final affirmation for you to ponder, repeat, use if you like. But I like this. I wrote it. All that I am and all that I will ever be is a unique expression of God. Therefore, I am enough, and my life matters. And so it is.
Yes, so it is.
Namaste. You want to do it? You're so much better at it.
You are excellent at it.
Oh. as our entire practitioner crew today holds the light. Mother, Father, Spirit, I'm so grateful that I found this spiritual community, these open, loving hearts. I'm grateful that I'm allowed to serve this community, to be one, to be included, and know that there is a greater good, a greater opportunity when we come together with like minds, open hearts, open minds. That Spirit speaks through us, as unique personifications, right here, right now. I know there's nothing like me anywhere else on earth. And this is true for every person who occupies this planet. The planet is a gift, and we are a gift to the planet. And together we say, and so it is.